Welcome to Section 31, episode number 321. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I'm Rogue Schindler.
This week, we were going to be just, chatting about the second half of the Excelsior episode that we listened to. Plus, we have the 50th anniversary set that just came out. We could talk about that. Anything else?
No, that sounds great.
All right. So, when we last left the intrepid crew of the Excelsior, Uhura had just beamed over to the Romulan captain. And I almost forgot to at one point I was like, oh, I got that episode I got to listen to, within the last 7 days or so, and then I completely forgot about it till today, and I was like, oh, I got to listen to it, and then I listened to like a minute, and I had to stop it. I was like, and then I went back and I listened to the rest of it. I had a fantastic time. I thought it was great.
Agreed. I really, really enjoyed the way they sort of tied it together, as well as we touched on a little bit last time, but they really did a great job just sort of, unless they're referring to expanded universe source material that I'm not aware of, like all of the, hinted backstory between Uhura and the Romulan commander was really interesting. The actress playing the Romulan commander was really good. She did a really good job. And I don't know about you, but this was a kind of a fascinating perspective that I had never considered and really never thought about with regard to the Romulans. She basically accuses Uhura and the Federation of sort of being the catalyst that has created the modern day Romulans. We see them in the TOS episode, the first time they encounter them in the submarine episode with Not Sarek, and they're very sort of, they're shadowy, but they're not, they have this very honorable bearing. He talks over and over about the chess game he's playing against Kirk, and how they have to go out as their honorable to an honorable end, and she mentions that how the Empire, Romulan Empire, were a race of honorable warriors, and that was really what they were built on. But after encountering the Federation and being tricked and deceived in defeat after defeat with Chavernak and other things, that interaction is what has created what we now think of as the typical Romulans in Next Generation, like that that conniving and cunning, sneaky, spying Romulan Empire.
Yeah, that was an interesting insight. I don't know if that's teased out anywhere else, if that came from somewhere else. If not, well played. That was fun.
Yeah, and it made me think a little bit more about that. And the Klingons kind of do the same thing. They, aside from maybe Kang in the original series, most of the Klingons are kind of underhanded, sneaky, behind the back, kind of not quite backstabbers, but they're not exactly super honorable the way we think of them in TNG. Kor is sneaky, and Koloth and Arn Darvin, and just all these underhanded moves. And somehow when we transition 85 years later in TNG, all of that has kind of inverted. The Klingons are this honorable warrior race, and now the Romulans are all sneaky, which maybe is why they got confused and used the Klingon music for all the Romulan fighting in the first half of the episode.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that offline in between us recording. That was a...
Yeah, it was a little disconcerting to have that happen, and I know I've made the same mistake in playing. While we're playing cards or whatever, you get into some exciting bit, and you have here comes the Empire, we're coming for you. Maybe not that Empire, but it's the sort of adversary music, But really, it's meant to be the Klingon theme, and I was not super excited about that choice of music, especially when there's a lot of music to pull from, and they do a good job of pulling music from a variety of sources. There's so many ways you can go for. You got 10 movies, 13 movies if you count the reboot, and, see, 7, 14, 21, 24, 30, 29 seasons of show, 30 if you count the animated series, 32. So there's a lot of music, and they do a great job. I really liked the use of sort of the undiscovered country theme when they were sort of winding things down with Uhura and Chekhov towards the end, sort of the very, these are the TOS movie era, sign-off music was very cool, and some really good use of some otherwise forgettable music from Insurrection. But overall, try to be a little forgiving about the use of the Klingon theme. I thought, particularly because this is radio drama, the music is going to be so important that I thought they did a really great job pulling music for the entire episode.
I would agree with that. No, the music was pretty good. When I dropped off the call, there we're talking about the Klingon music. I don't think there was anything else that I really felt was out of place. Things were used nicely. It didn't take away, I thought, much from the action going on. It didn't overwhelm the spoken word, and it got kind of dramatic and dramatically appropriate points. So that probably took a lot of effort, I thought.
Yeah, they had to require a great deal of timing to get things to come out right, especially the big climactic space battle at the end as things were building up to an end. And I was just saying before you hop back on, I really appreciated the Star Trek VI sort of theme, original series movie theme that kind of came in as they were doing the falling action at the end with Uhura and Chekhov. Sort of TOS signing off style. I really like that as an ending. So really great job and very important for a radio drama. Not what I was thinking of, because they talk a little bit about it on their website, is there was not nearly so much of the thing that we kind of dislike from the other radio drama we've been listening to, which is the, here's some noise. It's like, oh, I sure wish you would take that wrench and not put it in that console and bang it around so much, because that's not going to fix the thing that's wrong with it, which is that nut right there in that knob. Just overuse of
over Foley.
Yeah, or not even over Foley, but just over description of over text description of what's going on, instead of just sort of conceptualizing or implying what's happening.
Yeah, I had another thought, and the thought of the Foley just chased it right in my brain. No, I there wasn't much I hated. I thought I was going to hate a few things, and really, it kept me entertained. Oh, I remember what it was. The guy that got to play Admiral Styles. Didn't he sound amazingly like the guy that played Captain Styles?
He did. He was really good, really obnoxious, really self-important.
I had to look to see if it was the same person, because they got the three. I figured
yeah,
maybe they got some more, but
I
no.
think it's like James Skinner or Sicking or something like that.
It was very well done either way. I was convinced that they got the original person, but yeah, excellent.
The only thing actor quality that kind of threw me was the actual. I feel a little bad because for a first time listening to it and hearing the original crew, these seasoned actors doing it, it's kind of an unfair comparison. But it was like that's what we led off with for like 20 minutes, and then it goes over to the actual regular radio drama crew, and it's like. Okay, here's the fan run radio drama.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. What was the, what was the exclamation he kept making over and over again?
Jehoshaphat.
Yes. I kept hearing in my head every time he said that, Carabast.
I was just thinking that earlier.
That's funny. No, that was great.
Karabast.
Yeah, that was great. No, I had a good time. Um, the time shifting, they kept getting messages from the future, and the future kept shifting around. Uh, I think I would have liked to have seen that tied a little better to what was going on in the present. I didn't feel like that really matched up quite well. Because at the very end, they were like, they turned into Romulans. Oh, well, first he wasn't the captain anymore, and then they were Romulans, and then they were all hiding from the bad guys, and then they sent it through, and apparently they sent it through back in time to the first message. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, it started off subtle enough that it didn't bother me, but the more drastic the changes became, the more I agree. I felt like there should have been some relevant related issue that's like, oh, we made this decision or this happened, and so now, it cascaded into. I mean, there was a little bit of it. She surrenders to the Romulans,
And then the Romulans are in charge. Sure,
and now
yeah,
the Romulans are in charge. But yeah, it was very loose and vague, which I'm sure a lot of time cascade things are. But
I'll give them that. They didn't waste a lot of time just explaining temporal mechanics and things like that.
yeah, and they could have, and that would have been painful. So I'm
Hmm.
glad they didn't. And I really liked the final solution. I thought that was a really cool. Without Deus Ex Machina coming in and save the day, like they tied it together with the conversations about Janice and the relationship between Uhura and the Romulan. It's like, oh well, let's learn from these mistakes, and they talk about learning from their mistakes, and so they take what they would have done, and they do the other thing, and instead of trying to trick them and make it an enemy, they try to make a friend, and I thought that was, as soon as I realized what they were doing, it's like, oh yeah, and even if the admiral flinches, maybe the captain will balk.
Yeah, yeah. I want to say I saw that coming a little bit. I didn't think the admiral was just
Yeah,
going to go all out. No, nuke him for, but that's the only way to be sure. But yeah, having the helmsman and the captain stop him, that was good.
yeah. I'm a little uncomfortable with them not just then, turning on the admiral for that, because I feel like that would have been a, you know, court martial offenses or not, you don't just turn around and kill officers. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
that was a very summary decision. So that was uncomfortable, but that's for the future of that timeline and their story, which they're probably not going back to. This seems like this is going to lead into their main storyline against the Bluegills. It sounded like they hinted at the very beginning. So yeah, this is really interesting. I might. What do you think? Would you, based on the strength of this, which is not a lot of the original of the main crew, is a lot more of the guests, but on the strength of this, would you think of giving the rest of the radio drama a shot?
What episode number was this?
This was like, I want to say there are 10 episodes a season, and there are 4 seasons.
That's not bad. I think we
Yeah,
can do that.
and this is the finale. It's over until next year, so
Yeah, I
it's
didn't
not
catch
like
it.
you'd be rushing to catch up. Um, Man, I just had it open, but I definitely noticed that this was the last episode of their current season, and they've had like 4 seasons, and I want to say there's like 10 episodes each with some specials in there. Not all of them are this long. This was like 100 minutes. I think they said there's a feature length finale for their season 3, but I'm fine. That makes sense for a once per season thing, but it certainly would be interesting to give a shot. I did discover that my regular podcast app, Podkicker, does find it when I search for it. So it is in podcast form. You wouldn't have to go and stream it off the website, which was the only way I could think of. That was how it was introduced to us. So that's just what I
Okay.
did. But
Yeah,
You could don't.
I searched for it as well on my podcast and just downloaded that singular episode. I did not subscribe though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. I wouldn't mind. Or at least we could get started, see how it starts. Uh, then again, if this is the fourth season and we have some misgivings about the quality of.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I was looking at their on their website, and under new listener question mark, you click over and their page is like, where do I start? And it says, I suggest I recommend you start with the beginning of the fourth season, because this is the beginning of a fresh story arc. It was deliberately written as an entry point for new listeners, and while there are a few references to past adventures, you don't need any prior knowledge of the series to enjoy this episode. There are two reasons we recommend this. First, because we want you to be caught up with the show as quickly as possible so you can enjoy new experiences of new episodes with the rest of your fans. Second, because our current season is always going to be the most polished one, and we want to put our best foot forward with new listeners. Every year we learn a great deal about radio production process, and it shows in the quality of our product.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, I'm super, watching a TV show. I'm all, even if I get in, I'm like, oh, it's season 8, but I really want to start watching. Let's start from episode 1, season 1. But I think I would be willing to make an exception for this.
Well, I mean, if anybody goes back and listens to the first few episodes of our show, it is difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And then they're like, well, and then if you like that, you can go back and listen to season 3, or start from the beginning if you like. So that was cool that they have that as a suggestion instead of trying to go through. And there's a nice crew page that's sort of an overview, so you don't have to necessarily go back and listen to everything. If you want to jump in, there's a little brief synopsis of each crew member and the ship in general. So that should be like enough to kind of get going, I think.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about jumping into that once we get past our the last of the radio dramas?
Sure. I was kind of discussing it as a hypothetical, but I would certainly say, yeah, that would be an idea we could do once we're done with the Peter Pans.
Yeah, that'd be fun. All right.
Cool.
Very good. So there was a couple of sets that came out on Friday as well that have been spoiled along the way, but we finally got the whole thing.
Yes, indeed.
Have you had a chance to look around and see the things?
I have. I have been enjoying a lot of really entertaining image captures and reading a lot of fun new tribbles.
The artwork has been just amazing. I really did enjoy.
Yeah. I really enjoy the tango theme.
Yeah. So I think originally we had just a bunch of Ferengi theme cards, evade and retreat and confront, or maybe it was even before that. We just had a few that would have made a good evade and confront, and then and I think cheat was on there too. And so as we went on, it was like, we've got a couple of Ferengi things. We should add more Ferengi things. So we got a lot of the Tongo powers there, and then they wrapped it into the 50th. So we every fourth card or so is kind of a classic moment, kind of a theme. With I like the torpedo on the planet for Search for Spock. And,
Yeah.
the skewered tribbles on the knife for the 10,000 replicate. I think my favorite is Baylock and the pile of tribbles. They took out the Tranya from his hand and put a tribble in his hand, so that's perfect. Just great, excellent work all around on the artwork on that.
Yeah, and some fantastic new cards. I'm looking forward to trying out a Tongo themed deck the next time we play tribbles.
Yes, that sounds like an achievement.
Yes, it does.
All right, moving on to first edition. There are a lot of interesting cards here. So the theme was there's only one, I guess we call it a noun, and that is the facility. There's no ships, no personnel, just a lot of verbs and new cards to build decks around, right?
Yeah, this you know what this made me think of is special edition from Star Wars CCG
Okay.
because
How
it
so?
had because that was when they introduced objectives that really let you start with these cards. Here is your objective, to that mirrors the movie. Blow up the Death Star, attack run. You know, the set your course for the Alderaan system, and all of
Okay.
those that let you gave you bonuses for actually trying to emulate the movie. And this is a lot of I don't know. These objectives really make me feel like they added a lot more, not just noun flavor, because it's hard in 1E to get the sort of distinct affiliation flavor you can in 2E, having texts on all the nouns, the way you can have
Certainly.
ships
Yeah.
with text and personnel with text. So these are really cool. I really like the Warp 5 program. That feels very very Starfleet, and there's a couple of kind of treaty style ones. The Reunite Legends to get the TMP guys together, get the band back together one more time, and
With facilitate peace talks to download.
yeah,
Download the treat if you want, or just use it to solve that mission a lot easier, and then get
yeah.
two dudes. You know.
Set a course for home. Not that I'm ever encouraging anyone to play Voyager in 1E, but I do know that there's been at least one cool deck based on this idea where you start in the Delta Quadrant and actually try to travel to the Alpha Quadrant and come home to Earth. So I'm wholly in favor of something that encourages A, Voyager to play only with Federation personnel,
Yeah.
and B, actually getting your ass out of the easy Delta Quadrant missions and coming home and attempting Earth to kind of wrap things up. That sounds like a really cool idea.
Yeah. A lot of the attempt Earth with alternate requirement cards that we've used have bumped the point value down by 10 to 30, but this still keeps it at 40. So there you go. That's two easy Delta Quadrant missions, and then come home and finish up at Earth. You'll have more than presumably you'll have more than 50 points to get around a dead end at Earth, and that could be it. You know what I see?
And what
I
do you
see
see?
I see a deck that seeds this blatantly early, and then plays Borg.
Yeah, yeah.
A
I
bunch of
see
Delta
you.
Quadrant missions on Earth. That'd be
I
funny.
see you doing that.
Yeah, not anymore.
So you got to play. So now you got to play with a bunch of Borg missions that you can still kind of manage to do, and seed that, and they'll think you're playing Borg, and you can actually play Voyager.
Well, that'd be rough because you want to play with a lot of Nebula missions and the two obvious missions in the. Start with the two obvious missions in Delta Quadrant. Uh, well, you could probably
Yeah,
do two space missions in Delta Quadrant. They're 30 or 35 points, and then go and solve Earth for the last 40. That'd be pretty good. That'd be
is there
pretty good.
a way to do the harness particle? Only do the good guy version, because I know there's a Federation objective that's like eliminate particle or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. And it's been a long time, but yeah. The Omega Directive.
Yeah, that's it.
Score some points. That would be pretty cool.
Just play like an
Just play,
anti-Borg themed deck.
yeah. Because if you manage to get that to do it, if you're prepared for it, right, you would discard the particle, and if you happen to be playing against a Borg harness particle deck, you just discard it. You'd fly over there, discard it, and then you're done. You score their points, and then they get nothing.
And the Borg player goes, all right. I pass.
Yep. All right. There's one other card that I thought was great, and it's been a while since I played Enterprise E, but that Battle of Sector 001.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good. It's near Earth, so you could do the launch the Phoenix point for points.
Yep.
It's 50 points if you have a couple of ships there, so you bring the Enterprise and the Defiant maybe. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's a lot of weapons.
that Enterprise E gets big when you
It
get
does. It's true.
Enterprise E people on board. So a plaque and a log, and or sorry, was it Captain's log that gives the weapons bonus. Between that, I think
Yeah.
that and a couple of ships, and I think you're good to go. Maybe throw in the Akira from Resistance is Futile. Gets a bonus with an attribute bump with Enterprise E people on board.
Oh yeah.
You can throw an outpost right there. Uh, and you're guaranteed to be right next to Earth, and you don't have to worry about reunion. The mission that you're probably not going to solve. You actually have a
Sure.
good mission there, but 50 points plus 30 points plus a couple of points from launching the Phoenix, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Might be able to get 2 missions out of it.
I'm even more fascinated by the other side, the opponent side of it, which is another one of those different missions where it's different on the other side.
Asymmetric.
Yeah, asymmetric. Thank you. It's 40 points, 6 officers, which is I guess sort of the same if you're not playing first contact personnel, but or Enterprise E. But this Borg ship dilemma may start here. So does that mean if it's anywhere, if it pops up anywhere, instead of going to the end, it comes here? Or is that only if it pops up here, it gets to stay?
No, if it pops up, if you reveal it, so now it instead of just blowing everything up and flying away, right? It's ready to be self-contained. And it starts at the end of the space line. Now it just
Right.
starts there. Yeah. So anywhere it shows up, the opponent may start it there.
Wow.
So are you thinking about? So I think somebody posted this to the boards. You use the Amagosa research facility, right? You get Tully and Soren on board. Okay. You reveal the Nexus. You download Trilithium weapon. You use it to turn this mission around. You don't have to have weapons anymore. All you need is a 6 officer.
And it's 40 points
It's
instead of
40
50, but
points.
still it's 40 points.
But now, instead of it being a mission that your opponent can steal if they happen to be playing Federation, now they have to be playing Enterprise E, right? And they have to have 6 guys there. Otherwise, it's only worth 25 points, and you can't steal it.
Wow. Yeah.
So I would say, I don't
That's
know.
pretty
You think
sweet.
six officer is probably going to be a little bit more difficult than 6 Enterprise E personnel?
Yeah, it depends on the Fed deck they're playing, but yeah, if, a lot of those can be, science or medical heavy, and you struggle trying to find those 6 officers. There's no strength requirement, so it's not like Maglock, but and all 6 at once, and they have to make it through.
But you could also, I mean, let's say you did have a fleet, right? You can encounter your own Borg ship dilemma, move it over here,
Uh,
and then blow it up for whatever 15 points. That could be the end.
yeah, yeah.
All
Wow.
right. Okay, how about this? All right, you use this as just a strategic. I know the Borg cube is going to show up somewhere, and I know it's going to start at the end of the space line unless I turn this around, and I can put this exactly where I want it. I get it. I put it in the space line where it's going to do the most damage to you, and I just let the Borg ship start there and then go away.
Yeah, you put it on the, if you're in one of those games where like all my missions are on this side and all your missions on this side, so you put it on the end of your side but still this side of middle, so it starts there and then
Yep.
goes off the long end of the space line, so it just goes through your opponent's missions.
Perfect. Yeah.
Nice. All right, well, clearly a lot of strategic interesting things to do with this mission.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's fun.
I actually really enjoyed all of the missions in this set. Really interesting, when you see new missions, it's kind of like, all right, new missions. I know we need more missions, but in a cool boutique set, it's kind of boring. But these are all very interesting missions
yeah.
or have
Fun.
interesting cards associated with them.
we finally got the supervised lithium mine, which is interesting in that this was ready to go. I think when the third TNG set was in the mix, right?
Yeah, the Romulan
Uh,
theme set because
yeah,
they had the Remans in there,
I
but they
think
got cut,
yeah, I think that's what
right?
it started with. I want to say that it might have been, boy, it might have been a different set, but this has been around. This image has been kicking around for a long time. However, since it waited this long, now it has the process war mining here that came out in one of the crossover sets, and then one of the
Very
the
nice.
mirror universe block. And I think that fits even better.
Yeah,
So sometimes it gets better when you wait. That's great. And it looks like the range has gone down. Originally, it was spoiled before, but they retroactively changed it down to 2, so that's a lot easier to get to. What else have we got here? The conduct cell research that goes with the Amargosa research facility,
yeah,
and the probe origin for Cayman, which is an interesting way of doing it.
and vanquish enemy.
Yeah, that's
Oh man.
that's gonna be interesting. I That's the kind of card that I really would want to play with, but I would never want to sit across from,
Right.
just because you've really got to be prepared for that. I mean, if number one, if you're not playing a Battle Bridge deck, uh,
Yeah. It's like,
you
oh, that's really hardcore. You're giving your opponent the ability to damage you at any time, but it's only if they're playing with the battle bridge.
exactly. It's 50 points and it's stealable, but
And it's not really hard.
no, no, it's not. You just need a bunch of people, really.
Oh man.
Many affiliations can do that without much
Yeah.
difficulty,
This is secure homeworld.
and it's a nebula, so it's another Borg target too.
Oh yeah. Oh
Wow.
wow. Well, big tempting targets. That's why it's 50 points.
I'm just thinking about flipping over to Borg cutting beams and just assimilating people. Come on,
Oh
come and take 50 points.
wow. Yeah.
That's funny. All right. Well,
Exciting cards.
yeah, good stuff.
Definitely exciting cards to bring some spice to the game, which is appropriate for the 50th anniversary.
All right. So the last set is the 2E. Is there anything that tickled your fancy here?
Uh, I like that there's Moriarty now. That was cool. In fact, I think I even like his text is really cool. That's a cool holoprogram deck. The holograms, two E holograms have been kind of tough, but still really fun. And this is a really cool addition to that. It's not super broken because he doesn't interrupt the attempt to do it, but it's an order. But it's still dial a skill as long as it's somebody on your captive or somebody on a holoprogram. So if you have somebody in play or you have somebody that you've dropped on a holoprogram and you need extra of that skill, or you don't have that person in play yet, you need it to complete the mission. That's pretty cool, and it's very evocative of his character in the episode, where he's like, "Oh, I need to learn how to do this. Computer,
Yeah.
teach me how
And
to fly a helicopter."
Cunning 9 hologram that's. I mean, even if I could see him going in just decks where you just need skills, even if you're just using cluttering, right?
Yeah. Oh
Cunning
yeah.
9 guy, that's
Cunning
pretty
nine.
good.
That's really interesting too, because there's very few cunning nine personnel. Because it's always like cunning eight is about the upper limit for a sentient
Sure. Yeah.
biological life form.
And then there's
Then
data.
and then there's all the androids are tens, except for corrupted data, loyal brother, who is a nine because his emotions make him just a little bit dumber.
Right.
And now there's Moriarty. So that was an interesting choice. I like it.
All right. I think we talked about the wharf before, didn't we? The two
We did.
cost wharf. Yeah. That I like the cheaper Defiant Captains for the Defiant Captain deck. I like that Enterprise. I'd almost like to see something like that in first edition. You know, the olive branch, the
Oh, sure.
being able to attempt Klingon missions with your well, in one E it would be your movie era personnel. But
Sure.
yeah, that's kind of cool. That's certainly a new deck. It's
Go well
interesting that
with Enterprise C.
exactly. I was going to say that Enterprise C gets a bonus with Klingon missions. So now you can just
Yeah.
instead of having to pick Federation Klingon missions, if you could reliably get this ship out, with all the ship downloaders there are now, uh, you just use all the easy Klingon missions, like was it Control Plague or something like that. That's just like the medical and biology.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff. I love the picture for Baku Planet. That's just a great pull.
Definitely.
And this is the super cheap, the super cheap treachery guys, Rofo and Shinzon, and to some extent Seska. Uh,
That's an entertaining theme that they went with.
yeah, I guess Quark kind of fits in that. He doesn't actually have the treachery, but uh, you know, middling integrity.
Yeah.
Right on.
Just borderline. I'm
Cool.
just here to serve. Yeah. Interesting set. I think very good representation for different aspects to pay tribute to um, for the 50th anniversary. Well themed. Instead of trying to do too much with every set, I was very impressed with the idea of taking different aspects of celebrating the 50th anniversary and having them be done with the different games. So well done, everyone who worked on this.
All right. You know what we have to look forward to, and that is the next 1E set. Uh, I think they're working on art, so we should be able to see some visual spoilers soon.
Very nice. Always looking forward to seeing new 1E cards, and this is so this will be the third set in the mirror block.
The third and final set in the mirror block, and it will be the Mirror Starfleet folks. So there's going to be a lot of conversions, a lot of new stuff, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Exciting. I'm very excited to see that. I'm a big fan of all the Mirror Universe and those guys in particular. So looking forward to our agents delivering some intelligence on that quite soon.
Excellent.
All right. Well, that is just about all the intelligence we have for this week. I believe there is a tournament this Sunday. If you are up for some TUI Academy and you're in San Diego, you come do that. We will. I will not be in attendance, but we'll hopefully hear from somebody who is. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I'm Sir Dan.
And I will remind you all to expand your power in the universe.
And I will draw to end.